You guys think we're crazy for building with timber. But timber framing is 90% of New Zealand homes. This stuff, for sure, timber will rot, decay, and break down over time if you don't look after it. But luckily, we have a plan. I'm Josh, a builder here in New Zealand, and this is everything you didn't know about pre-clad. The phase where we go from timber frames to ready for cladding. In this episode of That Build Up There, we're going to talk about why New Zealand loves timber framing. We'll go back to site when these bad boys were just getting stood, and stick around to the end of the video where I'll talk about some of the layers we put in place to protect the timber framing. First up, why does New Zealand frame with timber? I've got some facts. Well, as you've heard me say in a number of videos, we're a small, isolated country down in the bottom southwest of the Pacific. Our closest neighbour, Australia, is over 2,000 kilometres away, and that makes importing difficult. On top of that, we're a tropical island that's susceptible to not only huge weather storms, but fault lines running up through our country result in 20,000 earthquakes a year. And believe it or not, timber is perfect for that environment.
And that's the pipe? Yep.
Here we predominantly use Pinus radiata. It was first imported from Monterey Bay donkeys years ago and has taken off prolifically since then. I've even got to plant my own tree in the forest. 3, like that. So then we go down, and then we pull the shovel out, right? Pull GPS coordinates, Sam. Let's lock this one in. This is my tree. Coming back to chop that down in 30 years. Remember when none of this existed? Not just the scaffold, but the block wall and the timber frames and the roof. We've done a lot of work. Let's do a quick recap.
First time seeing it framed.
I know. The cool thing about frames is they're like picture frames of you as well. Look at that. Instant garage door. This is why framing's so fun. So the scaffold's been flying up, and it is actually a real epic phase. And we have roof trusses being delivered. Today is a monumental day for That Build Up There. It is about to get laid. Well, its roof is about to get laid actually. Man, I love that view, specifically the layers of hills out there. And I love you, the viewer. Before I tell you about going from bare timber to ready for cladding, I want to double check you're not a sub snob like Aaron. That's right, I caught up with Aaron last week on site, and he said that he holds on to his subs so tightly because he feels like he has only a few to give away. Once I told Aaron, you've got infinite subs and it means the world to a creator like me, he texted me immediately and said, bro, I'm in. Aaron's clicked subscribe, have you? Anyway, back to pre-clad. cannot wait to wake up to that view every day, knowing my house is both structurally sound and protected from the elements. And that's the two parts of pre-clad. We make the structure strong, plumb, straight, true, and then we protect it. Hello there. First, let's talk about the structure. Timber framing is all about taking a naturally strong product and making it even more durable. The way these frames are built is step one. After the plane and the timber is run through a stress grader, and then it's also visually graded along the line. Once the timber is stress graded, it is now ready for its final step, which is pressurized treatment. The timber is stacked and wrapped, and that's how it ends up here on site for us ready to use. Here on that build up there, we're using J-frame. I love J-frame because it's dead straight. J-frame is kind of like plywood, but for framing. Right. Come to me like 20. Yeah. It's a combination of the studs and the twangs and the bottom plate and the top plate that bring that structure to life. But standing the frames is just step one.
Wait, huh?
Once we've gone around the entire perimeter, we shoot the bottoms down, then we straighten and plumb the corners.
Out, I like to go a little bit past because it'll bounce back through there.
We use temporary braces to lock that all off. Now that standing frames is complete, we can get on to the structural fixing part of pre-clad. In a nutshell, you're tying every single element together to create one unit. Trusses to top plate to stud, stud to bottom plate to foundation. Creates one entire system. And how do we do that? Lots and lots and lots of brackets and bolts and fixings on the outside, on the inside, with the lintels.
Yes, sir. All right.
The boys will be sneaking out of these windows sooner than we think. And that's part of the plan. We're building an epic house for 4 young boys to grow into young men. Now that we know the house is structurally sound, we need to protect it. You know the saying, don't be silly, cover it up. And building a house is no different. It starts with a wrap or a rab. On that build up there, we've chosen to use Weatherline. It's a rigid air barrier. Whether it's paper or rab, the best way to think about it is it's your skin. It's the skin covering your skeleton. This is the skin of the building. But no one likes to walk out in public naked, and so we need to put clothes on it. We need to dress it up. We need a few more layers. Once we've wrapped it and we've sealed all the joins, we then put a cavity on. The best way to think about a cavity is, have you ever been camping and the outside cover of the tent hits the inside and then the moisture sucks through? Well, that's the same with a building. And the 90s here in New Zealand was prolific for buildings rotting from the inside. How did they fix that? In 2004, they introduced a cavity system. It's a gap, a 25mm gap between the building's skin and the building's outer clothing. And it not only gives it room for the water to disappear, it gives room for it to breathe. Think about you putting clothes on. You have your hoodie or your jacket as your outer layer, but you also have a layer underneath wicking the moisture away and keeping you safe. Basically, it's for drying and draining. So we put a skin on, we put a cavity on, and we tape up all the penetrations, all of the areas where we're going to put a door or a window or a pipe, and then we get that inspected. And that inspection is called pre-clad, and we've passed it on that build up there. So by now you should be an expert on not only why New Zealand builds 90% of its homes with timber, but how we make sure it's structurally sound and stands the test of time. We've talked about using the right product, framing it the right way, tying it all together, making it a big giant sandwich, tying the top of the roof to the bottom of the foundation, and then we wrap it with a skin. This is video 1 on a 3-part series of everything you didn't know about pre-clad. And if you're new here and want something to watch, check out last week's roof factory video. I had heaps of fun and it was such a good send-off for Ken. Anyway, on that note, I'm off to wrap up.